It's our intention to bring the ordinance for a first reading on December the 17th and then a second reading on January the 7th.
Jason DeLorenzo, Chief of Staff for the City of Palm Coast, discussing the city's efforts to develop a new short-term rental ordinance.
The ordinance adjustments so far state short-term rentals would have to start registering on March 3rd. Registration is mandatory. Maximum occupancy would be 10 people, not including children younger than 1. City Councilman Ty Miller also wants to be sure there's one provision that's not overlooked.
At a minimum, we should not remove the background check requirement as an exemption. I think that's something important for public safety.
Recreational vehicles, boats, and trailers may not be parked on the driveway or in front of the house except for temporary loading and unloading. Emergency lighting is still required, but it may be temporary. More from Vice Mayor Teresa Pontieri.
Really big concern for these folks that I agree with is the way that these homes are advertised. I don't think it's very clear to people who are renting these properties that they're renting a property within a residential neighborhood.
The city's website on its code enforcement page will have a link where residents may write complaints about short-term rentals. The public could also look for the status of the violation complaint on the site. The next meeting on the topic of short-term rentals in Palm Coast will be January 7th. For Flagler's Local Morning News, I'm Karen Johnson.
Good morning, Flagler County. I'm Rich Carroll. You're listening to Flagler's Morning News on Thursday, December 12th.
Over the last weekend, deputies handled 828 calls for service, conducted 160 traffic stops, and made 23 arrests.
Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley reflects on last weekend's crime activity.
Some of those notable arrests was a woman was arrested after deputies responded to an allegation of an armed disturbance at her home involving her son and other adults. Deputies arrested the son. The mother refused to cooperate when we were trying to locate the gun, so detectives were called out and served a search warrant, locating the gun that was within easy reach of any child in the home. In addition, the living conditions were deplorable, with feces, urine, no running water, just a disgusting inside of the house, along with residue of various illegal drugs. The mother was then arrested for child abuse and child neglect and taken to the Sheriff Perry Hall Inmate Detention Facility, where she's being held on a $10,000 bond. In other notable arrests, I want to warn drivers that if your driver's license is suspended, do not drive. Deputies and local law enforcement, police departments made multiple arrests for people driving a suspended license that were habitual offenders. If you have a suspended license and you drive, you will likely end up in the green roof bin.
This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow you.
That's what this bill will do. It will preserve and protect our state parks, the natural habitat, the various endangered species, historical sites, and our natural environment.
In the wake of public blowback against the proposed development of state parks, Senator Gail Harrell tells Liz Ryan about her legislation, Senate Bill 80.
In an effort to preserve state parks, she's introduced the State Park Preservation Act.
It really prohibits the development or commercialization of our state parks for things that were never really intended to be in state parks. Whether it's golf courses, pickleball courts, or hotels, that was never the function of a state park. Our parks are there really to enjoy the outdoors, to enjoy the natural environment, whether it's hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, swimming, sailing, all kinds of endeavors that are outside enjoying nature.
She'd like to see Floridians rally behind her bill.
And I hope that people will get engaged and reach out to their local state senator, their local state representative, and ask them to get on board to become a co-sponsor of the legislation. Let's push it forward and make it one of the first bills that we pass this session.
For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Liz Ryan.
In other news, 66-year-old Lionel June was sentenced to 3 years in prison this week for the hit-and-run death of a 56-year-old bicyclist on Palm Coast Parkway in 2021. And in WNZF Sports, don't miss the game of the week this Friday at 7:30 on the Flagler Radio YouTube channel as the Matanzas Pirates host the FPC Bulldogs in a battle for basketball bragging rights in Flagler County. Watch the game for a chance to win tickets to see the Jacksonville Jaguars take on the New York Jets this Sunday. And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.